My computer's running like butt today, so I don't know why. So, anyways, um, like I said, I don't know much about the Blair Witch Project, but it had enough of a cultural impact to make its own genre, to start a whole genre of the found footage market. Like it, because it showed you could do that on a small budget, and Hollywood is like, that's a gold mine.
Right.
Because they and people were clamoring for the paranormal activity thing in the theater, so it definitely had a worldwide. Well, probably I don't know if it's a worldwide audience, but definitely a local audience, especially with the United States.
Yeah, it was definitely strong in the U.S.
Um, I can't say that for sure because Spain, I mean not Spain, but Mexico was really into it because after that they came out with Rec, which is record, which is the Americans remade it as the another version of that where they're in the apartment building by themselves, and
Mm.
it's terrible.
Yeah, I never saw that. I'm not
Oh,
familiar
it
with it.
was yeah. So they have like Mexico was really into it. I know that much. But anyways, let's not get too. I don't want to get too distracted about the Blair Witch. And I did watch a little bit of it through a react because I think that's the best way to get refreshed from a movie because I have seen it before. And so it's definitely an independent film that
Hmm.
got a lot of traction. Um, and they present it as a this is what it's a found footage film because police found it, and then they release it to the public, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So if you ever feel like you need to jump in, I will shut up because I talk a lot.
No, not at all. And it's funny that you say that, and I don't know
Mhm.
when the most appropriate time to drop this bomb is, but since you put it right there at the
Sure.
beginning, let's just
Oh, bombshell.
unleash it.
Okay.
I actually came out of the theater because I watched it in the theater when it came out,
I did not.
thinking that it
Mhm.
was legitimate.
Oh, you did? Really? Because that's how a lot of people thought about it. It's sort of like the World of the Worlds broadcast, where people were
Right.
like panicking and like, yeah. And so, uh, because here's the thing, I guess it was effective to you.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah, because like, they would not release this in theaters for money if it was a real thing. I doubt they would do that. Um, and because even the chainsaw Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a based on the true story, but it wasn't. It was still dramatized to a point.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, clearly you can tell that that's a movie.
Yes, but I'm not saying it wasn't effective because I wasn't really scared of it, but I definitely know why people are afraid of it. It's kind of funny. People are either it's boring or it's the scariest thing they've ever seen in their life because that was definitely the
Mm.
consensus at the time. Um, there was no in between, which I'm sorry to say, but I'm the in between guy. I'm not taking sides because it's definitely something to look over from a culture perspective, from how it affected the film industry at the time. People were talking about it, even the people who thought it was boring. They're still talking
Mm.
about it.
It's true. And I'm not necessarily, on one side of the fence or the other. It's
Hmm.
just I I was one of the few people that I knew that walked out thinking that it was legitimate, and I was like trying to figure out. I was like, wait a minute, if they just found this footage, why didn't how did they find it and how did they get affected? And it's like, why are they showing this to people in a movie theater?
Hmm.
And I was just going through all this time, and it's finally somebody kind of like, I don't know if I mentioned it to somebody or asked a question. Somebody sat me down. I was like, it's just a movie, right? And I was like, but the way they presented it, it was like this and this and this. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
they
There
wanted it
was
to be like that.
no special effects. It was all their own handiwork.
Yeah,
It didn't have any artificial touch to it. Um,
yeah,
not like Paranormal Activity, which at the end they did the money shot, where it's basically her face transforms to a demon, and and plus throwing the husband against the wall, like from 1,000 yards away. He's like, "Oof,"
Well, not to
like
get
it's the
too
beginning of Resident Evil
sidetracked.
7.
Yeah, not to get too sidetracked about that movie,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
but nah,
did.
that's coming up soon. So,
Well, the only reason that like that movie, that one I didn't walk away thinking it was real.
oh no, no,
It was clearly a movie, but they just did a
yeah,
really good job of making it seem like it
oh
could have
yeah,
been
because it was
real.
still like they refined their craft from the Blair Witch, because the Blair Witch
Right.
was definitely they had a hand camera and they had sticks. So it's
Yeah.
like, which actually goes down as one of the probably because people just think the people who think it's boring. The most straw man sort of argument is that it's just people farting around in the woods. Said
Hmm.
no, that's not what it's about. It's actually they're shooting a documentary on the Blair
Right.
Witch, and
Right.
so
They're
that gives
trying to
them an excuse
investigate.
to film everything.
Yeah, it's a unique concept, and I came to find out later. I didn't even know this beforehand, but they
Mm-hmm.
had like an actual social media campaign all the way back then about, you know,
That's true.
trying to put it out there to seem like it was legitimate before the movie even launched.
Oh,
And I didn't even need that
that actually makes
for it
sense.
to.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no, you're good. You're good.
uh,
It's just I found that so strange, and yet
uh,
without that, I still walked away with their intended effect.
the let's see. Yeah, because I remember because like the Tonight Show and all like with the Jay Leno was still a thing, and they were talking about like if you ever watch the Blair Witch 2, the beginning of it actually does all the social media stuff back then, where you get a like a montage of different social media things. I need to look at that again because that's the only part of that movie that's good. And so,
Mm,
and and so like there definitely was a but people talking about it a lot. And another thing that can bother some people because they have a an issue with motion sickness. This is not the movie for you.
mm,
You need to walk away because
it's true.
it is the shakiest of cameras. But you have to understand this is what they did. Oh, it's the stream I'm talking in. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Um, which is yeah, that's how I felt about when I went to Katie's stream. It's like, hey, streamception.
Street perception. Yeah, that was cool.
Okay, so plus the it's a small budget. I've already went over that. So there's three people, and one of them is a I forget the characters' names. Um, do you happen to know? I know there's Josh. He's the one that gets kidnapped. Like
It sounds correct.
and yeah, I'm like, okay, you don't remember either. Okay, that's good. I'm not the only
Looking
one
it up,
because there's a lady character. They're college
Heather
students.
was the main.
The main
Heather
three.
was the main girl. Yeah.
She's the main girl, and she's like put herself in charge. And she's like, I know where we're going. I know where the car is. We don't need a map right now. And she says, shoot it this way, shoot it that way. She's the director, so she assumes she's in charge of everything, which kind
Hmm.
of makes her annoying. But I don't know. Maybe she's very assertive. Like
Right.
she's a very assertive character. I don't know if that makes her a what's the word I'm looking for? That I
Bossy.
can't say on that I don't want to say, but yeah, she is kind of a jerk to them. And
Mm-hmm.
then when she realizes she's in a position of weakness, she actually breaks down. Like because her illusion of control is being taken away from her. Um, and and but when she gets back up again, she assumes that everything's going to be all right. So she goes back to that the character trait she knows that she has power over, and that's herself, and and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm picking up on something that's not there, but it definitely seems like she is kind of used to being in control.
Well, and it's necessary for people who are like that to maintain that sense of control because,
Hmm.
as you said, once they lose it, they become undone and they can't stand to be in that sort of a
Hmm.
state they consider to be helpless. So even if the control
Hmm.
is a farce, it still gives them enough of a sense of peace about their situation.
Hmm. It's definitely something I keep going back to Paranormal Activity, but they're because or even The Exorcist when it comes to a sense where they have control over their situation, and when it keeps getting chipped away, that they don't really have control. That because their whole life they're told you are in control of your life, you are in control of your life. Not anymore. Like it is taken away from you, and to a human being that's been has that mindset their entire life, it's so damaging to their psyche. They'll either deny it or go into a frenzy or lose their mental state. You know.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I know I don't know if that's. I'm just trying to get into the character heads of these three characters. I guess I don't know.
No, I mean, I think you're right there, especially with her. And it's another thing, too, because you have to consider from the angle that she's coming from. She's with two men, right? She's the only
Hmm.
female, so she's going to consider her options either to be a more submissive role, right? Because
Hmm.
there are two men and they can fight over the dominant position, or she
Hmm.
can put them both in the same position and
Yeah.
just assert herself as
a
the
it's
leader of the
a sort
team.
of group mentality, but I don't think she sees them as enemies, she's
No,
or anything
not
like that.
necessarily.
But I wonder if it's like the college life, because the college life is you it's a very like you've been put down your whole life, you just don't know it. But I don't
Right.
know if they ever took that into it. I think it's just that they're in the woods, and it's better to have one person who tells them what to do, and they're like, okay, you're the director, it's up this way, you've done the research, so we're going to listen to you for now. And then when they start to lose all their stuff, lose their control, it comes like, no, 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 you have no idea what you're doing, you're an idiot.
Right. Why
Yeah.
are we listening to you?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's being mean. I think it's a matter of I thought we were control. We're just gonna just argue, um, and stuff like that. But I think I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. I don't know, because the other scene people often forget about is near the beginning when they talk to the townspeople. That's not. I don't think it's talked about enough because people always forget the scene. Because when I see people watch the Blair Witch and the guy's in the corner and they're like, "Why is he in the corner?" I'm like, "Did you not listen?" Like to the townsfolk that said like the reason why they're in the corner is because the Blair Witch would kill people and you're not allowed to watch. So they said
Right.
turn around in the corner. So like okay, and that's what happened to her, you know. And
Yeah,
so
that's the very end scene.
yep, and people are always scratching their like, why is it in the corner? Yeah, it looks creepy for one thing, and it's a part of the lore. So yeah, so they talk about all this other stuff. They talk about like people went out to the woods, and they got lost, and so there was a search party, and they found these stones in a circle, and they're like, well, this is where they were buried, I guess, and it's a really actually effective documentary scene because she actually she seems to be a film major of
Right.
some kind because she knows how to shoot her scene when it comes to she knows how to present the documentary in a very effective way, even though it's kind of low budget. And the guy is shooting it, and I'm sure they're going to edit it later. But it's like, yeah, but still, it's not bad for a college film
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's also
I
shot in
think
black and white.
as low budget as it is, it's really well done. And yeah, I'm
Hmm.
glad it wasn't all black and white.
Hmm. Sometimes the black and white is used later on for no reason. I don't know why they did that because I'm guessing the black and white was used for the documentary because that makes a little sense. But when they use it later on in different scenes, I'm like, what are you trying to say? Like, I don't know if they did.
Well,
I don't know if they did it
if
on purpose or not.
I think if anything else, it just kind of adds to the like broke college film student effect because if you recall
Mm.
the very first Clerks movie, the entire
Oh.
movie is in black and white, and it's not the professional aesthetics. It's just because Kevin Smith said, "Well, black and white film was cheaper, so that's what I got."
uh, I guess. Like, I don't know, but I've never seen Clerks. Sorry.
Well, but I'm just saying
Yeah, yeah, I
that
get you.
as an actual filmmaker, if you had the choice to make a full movie and your budget only allowed for so much,
Hmm.
right? You're really scraping to just put this thing together, and you have to choose between a full color film, which is going to cost you, 3, 10 times more, versus black and white
Yeah.
film. You make sacrifices.
I wonder why that is. Um, it sounds that way to be cheaper, but I guess because I understand for print because in print, color rate costs money, and so you want to use the less colors you can. This is why you can choose in programs to choose only 3 colors you can use at a time, which is
Hmm.
interesting. But for film, I don't know that, but that's still I can see it saving money. Let's see. Oh yeah, some of the locals are like indeed crazy because they talked to this old woman, and she's I forget what she says because I watched it yesterday and I forget what this old lady says, and it's like and she's like disturbing looking, not in a absurd way, but it's very like this is a woman you would stay away from at
Hmm.
this at the supermarket. You'd be like, I don't want to go down that aisle. But I don't know. She's talking crazy about like I think talk like the Blair Witch has this inbred son or something. I'm like, oh, okay. uh, but I kind of forgot, so I take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I do remember that old woman character, but I don't
Hmm.
remember the significance of her
Exactly. Yeah,
interaction
it's
other
like
than like that's she's creepy.
because they're just talking to locals and getting the legend because that's a part of the documentary, which is
Well,
an
naturally,
effective way to actually say like uh, for the documentary itself. It's
right?
uh, definitely an effective tool for the documentary, and it's getting us a way to feel for what the Blair Witch is as the audience. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the first night, but they start hearing stuff, and like they wake up, and they're like, I didn't hear things. I heard things in the woods, but they still slept. Still, some of them slept like rocks. Even though,
Hmm.
like the lady wakes up and she's like, I slept like a rock. Like I don't know what you're talking about. And so there's like, oh, there's noises in the woods, like it's animals or whatever. You kind of shrug that off because yeah, whatever. Because there's living things out there. Get over it, pretty much.
Right.
And so the first they cross this log, which is important, I guess, because this log is appears later on in the film because they cross the same log like 5 times or something. Um, and they said, well, the cemetery's over the hill. We're going there. And like, where's the cemetery? Uh, and so like so it gets a little. I'm getting a little rough around the edges because I didn't see the. It's been a while. Um, well, they find the structures in the woods. Oh, that's right. So like the night scenes is where stuff really happens because and during the day it's just them arguing about like where's the map? How do we find our way out of here? How do we get back to the car? Um, especially when they're done shooting because
Hmm.
they definitely find the rock circle, and then during night two they find the rock circle around their tent, and they're like, "How did that happen? We should have heard that." Hmm. Uh, so it gets them more paranoid, and they start getting lack of sleep because and then their food gets taken away, so they're hungry, lost, cold, and not enough sleep, and so they just go nuts, ba- basically.
Hmm.
Um, and plus, there's a lack of animals. Like you don't see a lot of animals in these woods.
Right.
Uh,
And you would think as remote and barren as it is,
mhm.
you would see
And
a lot more wildlife.
it's oddly quiet. Even in the found footage, I'm like, they must have found these woods, like the dead woods in like England, or something. Because why is it just like, oh yeah, if you don't know, there's in England, like in England, I should say the United Kingdom as there's this woods that is dead pretty much, but it's full of life. But there's no real insects. There's a supposedly UFO landed in the center. People get lost in it and come back after years, and it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. Because in the center of this center of those woods, nothing grows. Like it's so that's what I mean. It's like it's almost dead that way because it's like there's no chirping. It's just the sound of leaves, water, and them arguing. There's no chirping birds. There's no like deer. There's nothing.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't even remember considering that on my initial walkthrough, but as you mentioned
Mm.
it makes logical sense. Why wouldn't they see more of that? If this is truly the raw, essentially uncut footage,
Even in
they just wanted to
fall,
present it.
yeah, because they didn't edit the film out as a meta perspective. Uh, the I wonder if they got animals and they edited that part out in order for it to be more strange and odd, strange, other synonyms. but uh, but I don't know. It just feels like that. You think you would have caught something in the background or something move, or but no. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that kind of adds to the editing, right? It's
Mm,
not. It's clearly not a like a home shoot,
hmm.
even though they were
Even
working on
though
a
it's
documentary.
you would never know it because one of the arguments is like, why are you filming? Stop it.
Hmm.
And it's like and it continues. It's like because and she actually has a kind of an interesting reason to film now when everything's done with the documentary. It's like, yeah, I want to film it because what if somebody finds it? So it's like, yeah, that's actually
Yeah.
not a bad idea. Like because they're not crazy. Like if somewhere to find it, they know what's going on, and I'm like, okay, I can get that. But still, it's kind of strange for the other person to be like, you're filming. Why are you filming? We need to discuss these things. Turn the camera off. You know. Mm.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think they had that argument a couple
mhm.
times, didn't they? Sometimes it was like, well, we should film everything as part of the documentary, and other times they had actually just shut the camera off.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're walking around for hours and hours and hours, like, yeah, that might get tired. Like, it's like, yeah, I, I,
Now,
I get it.
do you recall how many days that
I think it's
the
like
footage
5
takes
days
place?
in the woods. Um,
And they
th-
have no place to charge the camera, so they brought a lot of batteries. They brought a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
tape.
because another part of the film I forgot is after they picked up their other friend they don't know, because the the woman and the guy know each other, and then they pick up another guy they don't know, and he's a sound
Was that
guy.
Mike?
I forget to
Well,
be
there's
honest.
Heather, Mike, and Josh. Those are the
Yeah,
three
yeah,
main
yeah,
characters.
yeah. Heather. Yeah. Okay. So Heather is and Mike are together, and then there's Josh, and that's the sound guy, I think. I'm not sure. Um, I forget which one is the guy they pick up. I think it might be Josh. Let's see. And so they go to the grocery store and they buy food. That's a smart decision. Like, because what if they get
Right.
lost? So they're going to need food, you know. And that's one of the things that happens during the night is that they run from their tent because something is like on their tent and they don't know what it is. So they run for their lives, which is a smart thing to do because, as said in the Blair thumb, it's like,
Hmm.
let's get back to the tent. Oh sure, nothing can get through the nylon. Like, I'm like, Like that's a good point. Like it may feel safe in the tent, but when something's at the outside, they don't know what it is, and it sounds like a bear or something. It's like that tent ain't gonna do jack squat, so they make a run for it. And when they come back, their food is gone. So, yeah, now they're, and it's apparently cold because it's damp there. It's not raining, but it's still like fall, so it's got to be getting cold, especially in the dense woods, um, where not really much sunlight is out there. It's very cloudy and overcast. Their map's not working, so much so that the guy gets so upset he kicks the map into the river. I mean, into this creek, and he's like, "Screw it, we don't need it," and he kicks it like, ugh. Like, why? You still need that.
Yeah, well,
He's going crazy.
that was after they went several times in circles, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. They go in circles for like 2 days, and they're like, "This is impossible. We're going straight." And they go across those logs multiple times. Like, these are the same logs. Like, what? And that's the thing that people don't get when it comes to this film. That comes when it comes to the when people say it's really boring, nothing happens. Kind of, and that's their straw man defense. I go, well, what do you want them to do? Like, of course they're getting upset. Like,
Right.
they've gotten lost. They have no food. They're cold, and they're on pretty much no sleep. You would be upset too. Like, it's true that the lady does kind of get annoying sometimes, but you can tell she has some vulnerabilities when she breaks down crying and she can't help it, and like you have to admit that all this arguing may be annoying, but it's the way toward with all this stuff that's happening to them physically and mentally.
Yeah, they're just trying to get their frustrations out because they have nobody else to take it out.
Yeah,
but each other.
exactly. Because as I said, like human beings need each other. They're very social animals,
Mhm.
and when the social structure breaks down, they become primal. Kind of thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if that
Very
makes
true.
any sense. I don't know. I don't know where I'm pulling that from, but it just seems natural
No,
to me.
it is true. You just they resort to baser forms of dealing with matters, right?
Hmm.
Less human, if you
But
will.
they're still able to keep it together for the most part. I'm actually like impressed for the most part because they don't just abandon like their friend when they get kidnapped. They find the clothes scattered. They find like pieces of what looks like to be some sort of like animal like flesh, like something was torn out of a stomach on
Mm.
a flannel shirt, and they're like, and they break down and they actually have a moment to just um, grieve. Mm,
Hmm.
Uh, it's very it's very human way to do that, and then later on they when they realize they can hear Josh, they don't say like we're not going near there. They say we're gonna rescue we're gonna see if we can help him. Like that's at least they have enough respect for their friend to actually go and see what's going on.
Right.
Uh, so they're not completely animalistic. Mm.
No, and it's proof right up until the end because, as you said, if they were purely in a survivalistic state, they would have just been like, "Well, he's gone. Time to go home."
Yeah, because you could go that way and I would still respect their decision. Even though it may seem like like an evil thing to do, I'm like, no, you have a good point both ways. Like sometimes there is no like it's sort of like a Star Trek answer. Sometimes you have to uh, when you're in no one situation, what do you do? Like
Right.
the Kobayashi Maru sort of thing. It's let's see. This one's has a tent. The map
Clearly, if
gets
they chose the "let's go home" angle, it would
it,
not have made for a good movie, though, from our perspective.
true, but they could have. But still, what if they went the other way and then the Blair Witch is like, you're going toward the cabin anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I understand why they did it. Uh, Either way, it would have been like, what if they came across the cabin and they're like, this is the way back. We're trying to find the car, but I guess we can stay inside this cabin. You
Hmm.
know, because now I'm speaking hypothetically here, but oh yeah, they found the wooden crosses. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Blair Witch stuff, and one of them
the
is
little.
I forgot. No, they're not. One of them is not small. One of them is like I'm like it took some craftsmanship. It's a whole bunch of little sticks, and it's like the size of a not a like a thick branch, and it's in the sky and not in the sky, but like,
Yeah, it's suspended in the air.
it's suspended in the air, and this thing is like um, probably a few inches thick of branches, and it's like holy crap, and then the rest of them are just sticks. Like the as you can see the sticks here, the stick from the Blair Witch thing, right there.
Hmm.
It's in the middle. I'm pointing to it. See, look, it's right here,
Yeah, I
circling
can tell. I can see exactly what you're pointing at. That's the beauty of being in non-Discord.
I know. I'm just being a a,
You're
a
just
jerk
being.
a jerk for a minute. Yeah, that's me.
No, but you're right. Most of them are like doll sized.
Yeah,
They're in
but
the trees, but they're
it's
very small.
it's obvious those were easier to make, but the one in the like the one higher up, it's like oh my gosh. I'm like that is kind of creepy. Like the sticks thing are not really that bad, but my gosh, one of them looks like the size of a human being, and I'm like,
Hmm.
geez. I'm like, so they like I said, I run through the they get ransacked. They find the circles. Oh yeah, one yeah. So Josh goes missing, and they find the
Right.
fleshy parts, and then they the infamous scene shown right here, the one where it gets close up of the camera that everybody mocks, which I understand why they do that. It is kind of funny when Scary Movie was like, and they have the snot drop, you know,
Right. Yeah.
and like okay, I get it, but but the scene is still gut wrenching to me because it really shows that she's doing it for prosperity. I can't say that word for some reason. Prosperity.
Posterity.
Yeah, yeah, that. It's like a word I can't say. But yeah, she's looking at the camera and she's like, "I'm sorry to like everyone who came on this trip. I apologize to your mom and dad for taking them on the trip. It was my fault." And it's very,
Yeah.
and like it's actually like, ooh, she's definitely like, now she's taking charge in the responsible way, because
Hmm.
she's act like she's in charge. Now she's taking responsibility, which is shows to her character that she's still able to have enough conscience to record this because she knows she's gonna die in her heart of hearts. Like,
So that's her redeeming moment.
yeah, it definitely kind of is because I'm like, oh, like you're like you definitely feel bad for these characters because I don't because they don't deserve this.
Hmm.
I mean, we don't know what they've done before that, but they don't deserve this. And it's just like, oh man, like it's such a humanizing moment for these characters, and not only that, you have the all of them standing around, sort of like some of them are just like walking in circles and leaning on tree trunks and just I bet they're wondering about life or like what could be um, going through their heads like what could be what should be or contemplating will we get out of this kind of thing, but I don't know what they're thinking. It's just that it kind of infers that they're just sick of this you know
Hmm.
situation. And the Blair Witch house, the house
The little
itself,
cabin.
it's a shack
Yeah.
basically. But they go inside and it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, I hate to say it, but like that's better than the tent.
Yeah, it's funny. I briefly watched that scene, just the
Hmm.
house scene, and like going up the stairs, and it's kind of like a cement stair thing. Um, and even though I haven't seen it in 20 years or whatever, it still kind of gave me chills because I remember like the way I felt in the theater watching that scene.
Hmm. Yeah, they definitely have the moments of switching between cameras as
Hmm.
well. And not only that, they do the dumb thing. I'm like of going in separately, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, that was a little bit of point of like you're in the theater watching this, like why would you do that? Like you're better
I
off,
kind of
going
understand.
together.
I kind of understand they're under a lot of stress and they're not quite thinking straight. Oh, hey, oops, I forgot Ed's in here. Hey, Ed, right now, better movies. Oh, of course, I could make 5 better movies, but it's not the point. It's not the point. The point of this is to because even if you hate the movie, hate it to your bone. Like it's one of the worst movies you've ever seen. You, it is hard to hard or cannot deny that it had a impact on the movie industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
I think that's the main takeaway here because it's kind of like guerrilla
Or
style
you making fun of it?
documentary.
I mean, I could make fun of because well, actually, like there's like a whole subgenre of movies that make fun of this movie. Like it's called. There's so many parodies of that scene. There's so many parodies of Blair Witch. One of my favorite parodies is the Thumb movie. Like it is, it's really good, but it's also really bad. But because it's Blair Witch. But I don't think Blair Witch is bad. To be honest, like
Yeah,
um, I can see its qualities, but would I rather watch Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity? I'm on the Paranormal Activity side of that. But that's just my opinion. I can't say that. I do like the steady camera. I do like the idea of looking at a bedroom at night, and it's sort of like the
hmm,
Exorcist thing where things bad happen in that bedroom, and when things don't, things have escalated. You know. Uh, but everyone has their picks, and this is definitely. But if you want a a more experience that looks like it was not touched by any special effects whatsoever, this is the better choice. Like,
it's true. It just seems very raw.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because it probably was. Because they probably put those sticks by hand. They probably ruined their own tent and then set action. They. You
Yep.
definitely looks like you could definitely there's a craft in there because
Hmm.
it's not just random shots. Well, sometimes there are, but it's definitely like some of those shots are well established.
Yeah, and I think I would be difficult for me to watch either that or Paranormal Activity again,
Hmm.
just because the element of surprise has been taken out. It's like I know
Yeah,
what
that's
happens. I
true.
know that this is fake. It's just a movie. So because of the realistic style, it's hard to revisit with that
Ah.
same anticipation of like, oh, what's really going on here, where versus a regular, horror film or scary movie that you go into knowing it's a movie from the get-go. I think those tend to have more of a replay value because
Hmm.
it's a movie experience from start to finish, whereas these are more of a real experience from start to finish, but then you can't repeat that because the realism is gone.
That's you definitely have a point. Yeah, that's it doesn't really ruin it for me because I can just go in and say like, I mean, I still enjoy it, but the first time I watched Blair Witch, I knew, eh, it was the same for me as if I watched it a second time.
Right.
Oh yeah, it did not freak me out. No, my mom was didn't like um, the whole found footage thing, but even she said it was interesting to watch. She wasn't scared, but
Hmm.
it said it was interesting. And like, okay, that's fair. I found it interesting as well. Um, uh, uh, I've only seen it once. Sorry. And but it was definitely something worth talking
Yeah.
about because of its cultural impact.
Yeah, 100%.
Kind of like how The Exorcist had a cultural impact. You know, how Halloween had a cultural impact, you know. And surprised I'm not doing Psycho, because Psycho is now one of my favorite movies of all time since I watched it that one time. Like, it was.
That one time.
Oh yeah, that one time was enough. Because it's a brilliant, brilliant movie. I love that movie. Um, it's definitely. Because here's the thing: because of the pop culture, I knew what happens in the movie, the shower scene. You know,
Mhm.
I knew the main character dies. Like, but I was so enthralled with the story, uh, I kind of forgot. It still made me, oh yeah, she dies. and oh man, and that ending shot, it's beautiful.
And that's exactly my point with these type of documentary style horror films, is that kind of a movie magic
Hmm.
for me personally doesn't exist on the second watch through. And you going into a
Hmm.
movie knowing full well what happens, knowing full well, all the kind of the spoilers that are coming, and to still be able to suspend, you know
Suspend your
disbelief
disbelief the
and
second time.
enjoy it as it is meant to be presented, speaks to the quality of the film and the magic that you want in a movie, so you can get that
Mhm.
replay value out of it.
Absolutely, I completely 100% understand, especially with the thing, because that's a movie I want to forget I watched.
Yeah,
Because,
so you can watch it again and again and again.
well, I can watch it again and again, but the thing though, the first time you watch it is the best time with
Hmm.
when it comes to the thing, because all the surprises in that movie now have no impact. Like, because it's based itself on a mystery, and experiencing that mystery for the first time is something you'll never get back.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm taking a drink of
that,
water out of this canteen I
that
have.
that's 100% the way I feel about this movie here. It's
Mm,
like,
I completely
I
understand.
watched it the one time, the original time, and that's as good as it's gonna get. So I can't revisit it other than for the purposes of an analysis like this.
I definitely want to go. I should probably change one of these movies to Psycho. Probably Friday the 13th, because um, I'm much bigger a Halloween fan than I am a Friday the 13th fan. So, man.
Hmm.
uh, I think its quality stands a lot more than Friday the 13th. but,
Yeah, I think overall, as a thriller, as a movie, and just as a movie, yeah, I think it's overall a better film.
let's see. Then also the Blair Witch. We talk about the social media aspect. That's something.
Hmm.
Man, I can't think of anything more to say about it. Um, uh, from Blair House, the corner. Oh yeah, the corner scene. I guess we could talk about the corner scene, because
Yeah,
like
the big at the end.
the big reveal that, if you remember from the beginning of the movie, because I did, because it's a passing line. That's one of the big mistakes I think is that as part of the Blair Witch, is that when they talk to the townsfolk, if you're gonna have like a person say like they killed him and put him in a corner for them not to see, I think if somebody else in the movie reiterated that and
Hmm.
like repeat it in a different way, or talking to somebody else like, hey, remember that legend? Oh yeah, talking about when they were in the corner. It's like, yeah. You're right. She would hack off and like put him in the corner or something, like, or express it a little bit more. No, instead in the movie, it's a passing comment, and it just
Hmm.
next scene. It's like, okay, like no wonder people like don't remember, you
Yeah,
know.
they don't make the connection when it's crucial at the end.
Yeah, of course.
Because
It's still an effective scene, but it's not as effective if you don't know, because it's like, oh no, you know it's coming, like, and then the camera falls down, and you see him in the corner. Which, by the way, I do love the Resident Evil 7, because they do use that the derelict house footage when you go into the house in the demo, where you go down the ladder and then you find that guy in the corner, and you touch him and he's on a pipe. on a meat hook or something. I'm like, yeah, they knew what they were doing. It's supposed to be a found footage sort of parody, but also an homage to Blair Witch because he's in the corner. Like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the new Resident Evil.
7 is so good. 7 is like a good. It's FPS, so it makes it sense that it looks like it's coming from your point of view when it comes with the camera, because you're the cameraman in that scene, and so everything you look at, you're recording. So it's like it's an interesting way to do that. So, and apparently you can see ghosts if you shoot it in a certain way. So it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Anyways, I can't think of anything else. Do you have any other comments? Because I'm going to video games, which I know.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, I think making a video game out of this movie is kind of ridiculous.
Oh, you mean the Blair Witch game?
Yes.
That guy's like, you're going crazy, son. You can see, look, it's Groot. Shoot him with your flashlight. Like, okay, like I'm shooting Groot with my flashlight. But people enjoyed enough where they're trying to get the multiple endings, which don't matter. Like, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't see enjoying that as a game personally.
Nah, because you're too attached to the film itself, I guess, or to.
No, not that specifically. It's just I think the film is kind of a unique. It catches you by surprise, right? And then
it definitely did. Like I said, like it had enough of cultural impact to take people by surprise. So like, oh, we can Hollywood. We have millions of money, so we can do it better. No, you can't.
No, I think the most successful like rebirth of that genre was the Paranormal Activity.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Again, it to me, maybe I was less susceptible at that time because years had passed. But I didn't believe it was real. But at least it came off convincing as real. It's like, oh, this they did a good job of convincing you that this is just recorded.
Until the money shot happened. So like, even the I was watching a review of Paranormal Activity, and that's what got me interested. So I watched it on my laptop, and believe it or not, it was actually more effective on my laptop because I couldn't hear the hum. The hum is what happens when the demon enters in. So it's like you're watching a YouTube video and you're just looking for the screamer. Mm-hmm. If you don't remember screamers, they're early 2000s stuff, and the maze game or the or the what's that? Look at that commercial of the car and then the zombie jumps up. You know, those are screamers. If you don't remember internet. So, anyways, I forgot what I was talking about.
Just talking about this movie, all the things that are related to this movie, even if they're not related.
There was the Blair Witch game, and then they did a sequel to the Blair Witch. I guess I could talk a little bit about that.
I can't speak to that, so I'm interested to know.
Oh yeah, because I saw Doug Walker's review of it. He's a nostalgia critic, and I don't watch him as much anymore, but he's still. I always stay tuned for Halloween because he does the best stuff for Halloween. So, anyways, so the Blair Witch 2, I've always seen reviews of, and it's this convoluted mess of where they go to, and so pretty much like they use the social media aspect from the beginning of the movie to pretty much gather people around the area. You know, they go to the place where Blair Witch was filmed, and people are just poking around the real town, and so this group of other students want to do a sort of, I guess, a documentary on the documentary. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Oh, it's a meta film.
It sort of is, and so they go camping, and then they find themselves in this shack where they're pretty much like they can't really get out. If they try to go out, like something stops them. Something supernatural, except it's not hidden at all. It's not subtle at all. and it's terrible. And they see this ghost of this little girl that dances, and it's really funny. And when she, cause during the whole when so Doug decided to put the Cartman Demi Ba Demi Ba while the little girl dances, and that's really funny. And 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 so during the whole film, they're trying to be everyone gets deceived in different ways, and so when it comes to a head at the ending of the film, that they all end up being like murderers and for some reason because they watch their own actions, except it's not what they did. So for example, there's this goth girl. She's a stereotypical life is pain sort of thing going on, and but she goes to a store and everybody's rude to her, and so she just walks away and says F those guys, and just walks away. But when they see the camera footage, she goes in, and when she tries to give the change, she stabs them to death. How come she doesn't remember that? Who knows? And because it's the Blair Witch, it's called the Book of Shadows, by the way, which is the Book of Shadows. I think is a real life witch tome. Sort of like a Necronomicon is a tome in real life, but it's not the thing for
familiar
people
with
that.
I wasn't familiar with the Blair one.
Oh, so yeah. But it has nothing to do with Blair Witch, really. It's just that it's a scary film that leached its popularity off the Blair Witch, and that's the Hollywood version of Blair Witch. And of course, it's not any good. It's almost a study of what not to do for a sequel, kind of like The Last Jedi. Shots fired. So, anyways.
Yeah, well, it's your channel. Fire
But whatever. I'll get to that in November. But yeah. So they were. So at the very end, they hanged this girl, and because she was a witch, because she had witch blood back from the one of her ancestors was a part of the Salem witch trials, and they make that a point in the movie, so they hang her. But really, in the movie, in the character perspective, it's that they're trying to help her, and she ends up hanging herself by accident. But of course, from the footage, they hang her because she's a witch. So it's that doesn't in the movie's own continuity, it doesn't make any sense. It's just a twist for the sake of a twist. And so they're all arrested. I'm like, oh, okay. It's really bad. Of course, I've never really seen it. Why would I see some? It's kind of funny. People say, I know it's bad. You didn't really see it. You saw a review. Why in the world would I see something that's got this much of a reputation? I don't know. But that's all I know about that.
Yep, that sounds about accurate. More than I knew.
Yeah, it's I'm like, nah, I don't want to see that. So, because when you crap over an original movie like this one, it makes this one look like. People say Citizen Kane, but nah, I wouldn't say that. But I would say it makes it look a lot better.
Citizen Kane was, the first time I watched it was awesome, but I watched it again, I'm not sure.
I've never seen Citizen Kane. And
yeah, I watched it for a film history class.
Oh, okay. Because I know they do, which is kind of funny because they didn't win Movie of the Year that time it was out.
And a lot of modern stories have parodied it, even The Simpsons. So.
Oh yeah, Simpsons is like Rosebud. I do like the family version better. It's a sled. There, just save you two boobless hours. I'm like, it's fine to mock pop culture. I don't care. But I'm kind of sick of that funny cartoon kind of thing going on. Because especially when it comes to sci-fi, you know, and stuff like that. But anyways, I think we're done with the Blair Witch. I think we're done.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else other than like the disappointing video game and the disappointing sequel. And yeah. But you know what? If people enjoyed those films, go ahead. I can't stop you. But when you call it a good movie and you call it a good video game, now we have issues.
Mm.
But
Well, I mean, let them enjoy it.
oh yeah,
Somebody
let
had
them
to
enjoy it.
program
But
I just feel bad for the programmers.
for example, like I love AVP. AVP, I love it. Alien vs Predator, I love it. But man, that movie is crap for the first half. But the second half is much better. But yeah, you can't. If people said like, I don't like that film, I think it's bad, I'd be like, yeah, you have a point. Like, you have to be self-aware.
Mm.
But anyways, the Blair Witch is over. Yay! Next one is.
Thanks.
I didn't keep you on for 2 hours, so yay!
Yeah, that's all right.
I know, because there's not
It
really
always
much to go around because pretty much the movie has a pace that it just keeps going. It never really stops. You know, which is why you're glued to the screen so much. Because if you blink, you might miss something. And when you miss something, it's not really crucial. But yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll say goodbye for now.
Sounds good.
When
Thanks
it
for
comes to
letting me join
the
you.
Blair Witch, if you like found footage, go and see it. See the grandfather. It's definitely the grandfather of found footage. Like
Yeah.
or the guy. I should say it's the film that got started. I don't know what would be the grandfather of found footage, because if I say that, someone will go, actually, there's this movie from 1980. I'm like, okay, okay, sure.
100% accurate.
Yeah. Like, you know what? But you know what? I will say this is the one that got it started. It's like the what I call it, the what's that shooter that came out? PUBG. It's sort of like
yeah.
PUBG. You know, it's not the first battle royale game, but it's the one that got it really started.
Yep, that's true.
So yeah, it's like that. So I would say bye for now, and I will end this call right now. Thanks for coming by, Seek. It's
Thank
good to
you.
hear your voice, and thanks for coming along and helping me sort of bounce ideas.